Hello everybody, welcome to another lesson from Danny Class Guitar, and today we will be examining and practicing how to play some open chords in the first position. And once again, I am using a steel string guitar, but what we're going to be learning today can work on any guitar. So I'd like to talk about the terminology that I just used. Open chord. An open simply means that one of the strings in the chord will be open, meaning that it will not be pressed down on my left hand. There won't be a fret on it. It'll be sometimes called the zero fret or the nut. Here's an example as an A minor chord. The first position means if you look at the fretboard from the very beginning of the fretboard basically to the 5th fret, is more or less the terminology. From here to here is the first position. I suppose some people might say from here to here, but I'm just going to say from here to here because I'm thinking of 5 fingers and the 5th fret is here. So there are many chords that one could play, thousands really. And in a later lesson, I'll talk more about how to actually make a chord and what goes into constructing a chord. But today I'd like to just kind of get to it and start practicing some. Okay, so if you're learning with me, go ahead and let's do our first chord that we're going to be doing today. It's a C major chord. And to play a C major chord, we will put our 3rd finger and press it down behind the 3rd fret on the 5th string, and if we do, you'll get the root of the chord. This is the actual C note of the C major chord. Then we'll take our 2nd finger and press it down behind the 2nd fret of the 4th string, and this note is an E. And then we have our first of the open notes. This will be an open G, not pressed down, and you can maybe think of that as a kind of relief if you're learning for your left hand, that it's not something you have to do with your fingers, so it gives your fingers a kind of, I guess you could say, a break. Then the next string, this is the 2nd string, and we are going to take our 1st finger and press it down behind the 1st fret here, and this will produce another C. And then lastly, the very 1st string we will leave open, and this is an E. So we have for our notes again, the 1st note that I played, the C. The 2nd note that I played, this is again on the 4th string, 2nd fret, this is an E. The 3rd note that I played, an open G. The 4th note that I played, the C. And the last note that I played, an open E. So to play the chord, today we'll just pluck or strum. It doesn't really matter. If you have a pick, that's fine. So if you have your pick, you can just take it from the 5th string and bring it down, and you get a nice C chord. If you're using your fingers, you can pluck it. And this is a C chord, and this is probably the first chord that most guitarists will learn. And if you are new to the instrument and you're not getting the sound you want, that is totally normal. It is just a matter of practice and making your fingers go to a kind of new, unnatural position. If you are getting a muted sound off that G, then just try to practice arching your fingers. Picture a kind of doorway arch and make your fingers nice and round, meaning here, and so to let those open notes ring through. Okay, so that's a C chord in the 1st position. The next one I'd like to do is a G chord, and the G chord is going to actually use 6 strings, not 5, and here it comes. So there's different fingerings for this one. I've seen it this way, I've seen it this way, and I'm going to teach you this way. So you'll start with your middle finger and you'll press it behind the 3rd fret on the 6th string, and this gives you a G. Then you'll take your 1st finger and you'll press it behind the 2nd fret on the 5th string. This gives you an A. No, excuse me, it gives you a B. There we go. Then you have wonderfully 3 open notes, which makes this chord so useful because this can be used as a drone later on when we move up and down the fretboard. But those open notes are the open D, the open G, and the open B. Interestingly, if you play just those open notes, that's also a G chord. Something, again, we'll touch on later in our theory. So that can be fun also. And then lastly, take your 3rd finger, your ring finger, and press it behind the 1st string, behind the 3rd fret, and you'll get a G. Okay? And if you play all 6, it's going to be a very big, strong, throaty chord. And that's a G chord. Used a lot in all sorts of music. I'm thinking bluegrass especially, but really it doesn't have to be just that, but all sorts of music. Now, one little variation, if you get bored with this chord, rhymes, kind of funny. One way to make it even more throatier and bigger and stronger is to do the following. Take your ring finger and move it up to the 2nd string behind the 3rd fret. This is a D. And then where your ring finger was, now your pinky is going to slide in behind, if you can see that. And it goes back to that G where the ring finger came from. Okay, so now you only have 2 open notes, not 3, but check out the sound. Really strong. Beautiful, really. I use it a lot. It's still a G chord, it's just a G chord with an extra D thrown in, so the D and the G is doubled up. The D in the chord is what we call a perfect 5th, so it gives it an even stronger sound. Okay, so that's a G chord. We'll go back to the original. And the last chord I'd like to teach you is going to involve 4 strings, and this is called a D major chord. Oh, by the way, that chord before, G chord's a G major chord, same thing. Terminology, that's what it means. And the first chord, a C major chord, if you call it a C chord, means the same thing. Okay, and our last chord today will be a D major or D chord, and it goes like this. It starts with the first note will be an open D, it's the root. It's the 4th string, just open, no problem there. The next note will be fretted by placing your 1st finger behind the 2nd fret, and you'll get an A. We should do another lesson. We'll do a lesson on vibrato. There's so many ways to get it from the guitar. You can shake the whole thing, or you can move your finger. Next, you will take your 3rd finger and place it behind the 3rd fret on the 2nd string. That's a D. And lastly, you will take your 2nd finger, your middle finger, and place it behind the 2nd fret on the 1st string, and this is an F sharp. And then if you play those 4 notes together, you have a D major chord. Also very pretty. A little variation if you get bored with this. Very common. If you know the song Pinball Wizard, I think, by The Who, it involves this interval. Place your middle finger, keep that chord down, and slide your pinky behind your 3rd finger into the G, and you get what is called a D suspended 4th chord. And then take the pinky off. Do it again. Very common sound in pop music, actually, but probably all kinds of music, really. So anyway, that's the D chord. Okay, so that's your lesson. So to review, we did the C chord, we did the G chord, and lastly, we did the D chord. So to have some fun, practice those in different combinations. Maybe go, for example, go C to G 3 times, 1, 2, and then on a D. That could be fun. Or perhaps go from D to G 3 times and on a C. you'll have probably hours of fun. And if you, along the way, do get bored with these chords, always remember, and this could be another lesson later, that your pinky can add some color to these notes in certain ways. Well, thank you very much for watching. Remember to hit the subscribe button, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.